Spot on that is. Today I'm going to show you how to install a shower tray in a way that it will never leak or fail, so that by the end of this video you guys will know all the little tricks of the trade and you'll be able to install a shower tray yourself. So at the moment this is loose. We'll lift that out of the way and have a chat about the floor. The first thing you need to do is make sure that the floor you're laying this down on is solid and is level. If there's any movement, you risk cracking the shower tray. So what I do first is I grab a level and I just have a look. You can see there, that's perfectly level. Do that in both directions just to check there's no undulations. If there is, you can take it up when you lay the tray. I'll show you how in a minute. But if it's miles out, you might have a problem. So just make sure it's somewhere near. This is a new floor that I put down, so I know it's good. And I know that the joists underneath are sound as well. I know that there's no bounce in the floor. If you're replacing a tray in an old bathroom, sometimes they've leaked, sometimes the chipboard is not in a very good condition, I would take that up and I would lay new. Now we can mark out for the tray. I know the waste is going in that back corner there, so I'm just going to drop that down. Be careful, these are heavy and they're sometimes sharp on the edges. We're going to drop that down in place. One thing I nearly forgot to mention, loads of people ask me, do I install my shower tray after I've tiled or before I've tiled? And the answer is every single time, install your tray before you tile. If you imagine your tiles, that's not a tile by the way, if that is gonna fall over your tray, you then seal it, you get a much better seal, the water runs down the tile, it runs down into the tray. Right, Holfer's dry marker, links to all the handy things you need for the job will be in the description, and let's get this waste marked out so we know where we need to cut the floor. In a lot of cases this will already be done when you get to the stage of laying the shower tray, and there's certain scenarios where by this point you'll already have waste pipe in because you might have had the floor up to lay new waste pipe, and you'll have already dummied up for where this tray is going to go, and you might even have a waste already in place. But as a generalization, so you learn something, I'll show you how to do it today. Waste is marked out. I'm now just going to mark a nice thick line around the base of my shower tray, around the perimeter, just so I know exactly where it's going to go. Now we can get it back out of the way. We don't need the tray for now at all. I'll move it out of the way so it can't get damaged. So this particular waste can go in afterwards because we've got access down below to finish all the pipe work. If you've not got access, your floor will of course already be down, the subfloor, and our tray is now going to go on that, so we can only work from above from this point. If that's your situation, you need all this done before that tray goes down. We're lucky we can get to the pipe work from the ceiling downstairs, so we don't need to worry. We can install this, lower it down in the floor, and we can pipe it up afterwards. So that's where it really depends what your situation is. Either way, we need a hole big enough for this trap to get through. Now, all I'm going to do, I'll show you all these different bits in a little while, but I'm just going to take this apart for now. Woohoo, got it. And we're just going to use that bit for now. We don't need that. Lay it to the side for a minute. And all I'm going to do, I know my direction of pipe work runs along here. So what I'm going to do is just dummy this up. This is going to need to sit flush with the bottom of the shower tray. So I'll turn it round for now, center it where I want it, and just draw a rough circle around it. Doesn't need to be pretty, and we'll take a little bit out of there as well, just to drop it down. So I'll remove all of that. So although I've drawn a circle around that, we don't necessarily need to use a hole saw to remove that material. We can make that cut a square if we want to, as long as we're not sacrificing the structural strength of the floor, i.e. cutting joists out and things like that. Of course you want to inspect that before you do this. Make sure there's not going to be a joist directly under it. Often you'll find there is, which is unlucky, so you might need to sister some joists and things like that. So there's ways around that. Maybe watch my bathroom series if you want to see how to strengthen joists, because I've done that before. And yeah, all we need to do is make sure we get rid of that bit of material so that we can lower this down so it can sit flush with the bottom of that shower tray. The easiest way for me to remove that bit of chipboard is going to be a multi-tool, and if you don't have tools like this, you can win them on Ultimate Tool competitions. My new website where this week one of you guys can win this absolute game changer of a Milwaukee 30-piece power tool kit. The link to enter this competition is down in the description. Doesn't need to be pretty, just needs to be effective. At the end of the day, all we need to do is make sure we can get this flush with the bottom of that tray. This just needs to be able to fit in, flush with the floor, and have a little bit of movement. Not much, just enough for small adjustments when we lay that tray. But what I would say is don't take out excessive amounts of floor because you could risk weakening the floor. So make sure you're taking out the minimum amount just to get that in. Right, let's bring our tray back in and I'll show you how to fit this waist. So, sometimes with these shower trays, they don't have a very good finish around the bottom of the waist. So this is a stone resin tray, heavy, and although your waist will have a black seal that will nip against the bottom of the tray, if it's stubbly like this, it's bound to leak. And if you're doing this, if you lay this tray and then you get a leak, you got a problem. So we only really ever want to give this one go. And a vital part of stopping that leaking is that it has a good finish. You can see they have ground this finish down and it is a little bit smooth around here. Would I still trust it, seeing as you're only really going to get one good go at this? Okay, we've got access below in this situation, so we could fix it. But if you haven't, you'd be having an absolute nightmare, or if it leaks later when the sealant below is back up, you've got a nightmare. So to play it safe, we are going to put a bit of clear silicone on the bottom here, just on that rubber seal, just to make absolutely sure it doesn't leak. But before we do that, just remove, you'll see the tray has got this film on it, just remove that from around the waist area. Don't remove all of it yet because you'll damage it later in your bathroom installation. Just remove the bit around the waist there, just for us to be able to work without nipping this in. So I'm just going to pop a bead of clear silicone around where that rubber seal is going to go. Be generous with it, get plenty on there. You can't really put too much on in this scenario. Now we can pop the bottom of the trap onto that silicone, and remember what direction you want your waist to run. Make sure that's positioned at this stage. Now we don't need the basket and the decorative top of the trap for now. We can lay them out the way. All we need is this retaining piece. This screws down into this. And this is where, if this piece is already in place, if you've done your pipe work, you've had to put this bit in place first, what you do is you'd wear that like a little bracelet, and then you'd be able to screw that down afterwards. So you'd put it up your arm, you would lay all of this, get this cemented in, which I'll show you in a minute, and then you'd be able to pop your hand in the hole down, grab your trap from the pipe, so you'd put 2 fingers in the pipe, you'd lift the trap up, you'd slide that down, you'd screw it in, and it'd nip the whole thing together. And that's how you do it if you had to install all your pipe work and then put your floor down. So that's a little trade tip for you. So let's imagine all this is in place, your trap and everything is already fixed. You'd put your hand in there, you'd hold the pipe to pull it up, you'd slide this down over your wrist. Once you've got the threads on, you can remove your hand and tighten the whole thing up. Any silicone that's smeared out there, just give that a little smooth off, and that is never going to leak. Now bear in mind that if you aren't doing it from above and your floors had to go down, there's a sealant below, you're going to have to do that bit with a little wrist slidey action that I then show you, and the sealant from above, you'll have to do all that after the next step, after the step I'm about to show you, which is laying this shower tray. Now there's 2 options when it comes to fixing a stone resin shower tray like this one down to the floor. The first one is a flexible rapid set tile adhesive. That gives the ability for some flex, but also a solid full coverage base that's not going to allow that tray to crack. So that is a way that I often do it. Some manufacturers will specify that method as well, and that will give you a nice solid base, and importantly, it won't void the warranty. If you void the warranty on a tray and you get a crack, the first thing they're going to look at is how it was laid, how it was fixed to the floor. And a lot of them these days do specify a sand and cement mix, including this manufacturer. So that is what we're going to do, because if we ever get any problems, especially if you're a tradesman, it's going to come back on you. Did you put it down using the correct method that the manufacturer suggests? Because if you don't, that is going to be a get out for them. So sand and cement, lovely solid base, allows us to take out all the little undulations, because these are never perfectly flat. It'll give us a nice solid base to put this down on, and it'll maintain our warranty. 5-to-1 mix of building sand and cement, and a trowel to lay it with. Again, handy links will be in the description. And all we're going to do is we're going to lay a 10mm bed of this sand and cement nice and evenly in the perimeter of our shower. We've marked that out with a pencil so we know where we need to put it. Just make sure that you've got full coverage all the way around the shower tray, no big gaps in it, no big lumps in it. Now along the two edges that go against the walls, peel back that protective film, leave it on for the most part, just the two edges. Now later in your shower installation process, you're going to run a bead of silicone around this shower tray, and you can use my siliconing guide that will be down in the description. It's got almost 1 million views already, and it's really, really helpful. And you're going to be able to use that to silicone your shower. But at this stage, there is one piece of silicone that we want to put in, even though that's not going to be our first line of defense against water. This is belts and braces, and something I always like to do. I like to run a bead of silicone, doesn't matter if it's clear or white, just along the bottom of my wall there. So this is moisture proof plasterboard, doesn't matter if it's backer boards or a tanked wall or whatever you're doing. I like to make sure I've got a line of silicone that's going to meet the edge of this shower tray. So I'll just run that nice and low just along the bottom of that wall there. Now you'll want a rubber mallet handy, and we're ready to lay and level our shower tray. But before we do that, if you're not subscribed already, hit subscribe, because there's loads more to learn and you don't want to miss out on all the videos I've got coming up. And hit like, because that'll help this video reach and help more people. So we'll lift our tray into position. If it's a heavy tray, grab someone to help you, because they can be very heavy and awkward on your own. Lay that onto your sand and cement for now. Don't worry about the position for a minute. We just want to make sure it's roughly in place, because we're going to level this yet. Just stick it onto that silicone that we put around the bottom, and remember, that's going to be our second line of defense, so that once we've tiled this and we've sealed it, if anything were to ever get down there, it's got another load of silicone to get through. Now we should have a fall on this tray naturally from the factory, so when you're leveling a tray, you don't do it in there, you do it on the edges. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to level around all the edges, but all I'm going to do is just bed it down and keep an eye on my levels. Make sure the tray is nice and level as we bed it down. So we're just going to keep checking as we go around. The other thing with this, if your tray is ever out, you'll have a problem when it comes to installing a shower enclosure or a shower screen. It could present you with a problem. Now that's very slightly out now. Now I've bedded that down. So all I'm going to do is give it a little tap there, and you can see it's now brought it back perfect. And that is perfectly level. Do that all the way around. Keep working your way around until it's perfectly level. Now the rest of our trap can all be placed in there for now, but it'll be installed properly when the rest of this enclosure goes up, everything gets tiled, finished. We can then remove the rest of this film, and that'll be job done. Hope this one's helped you guys. If it has, click one of these, because there's loads more to learn, and I'll see you guys in the next one.